however we've processed it, because we're humans, creates a different way of dealing with strong emotions. One of the books, and this is, he quoted Rumi, but this is Bessel van der Kolk. So I'm not a therapist. I didn't coach. I didn't get a master's in social work or in therapy, but I try to understand the brain-body connection because I teach mind, body, spirit. Right? So I turn to the modern sciences and how they can experience it. And what I think is really, really cool is modern science is becoming the same thing that ancient sages have experienced. One of the quotes he has in here is from Yogi Berra, and he always says funky things. He's like, "You observe a lot by watching." And the ancient sages didn't have functional MRIs, didn't have a way to do an EKG, see what people's brain responses were. They just observed people and how they responded. But now somebody like Bessel van der Kolk does. He can see the brain waves. He knows what's going on. And he can see how different people respond to strongly felt emotions or to trauma. One of the examples in the book is a couple that were in a car accident. And cars are one of the places, I think because we are disconnected from humanity, that we feel rage. And from a physiologist perspective, I know why. Because you didn't evolve at 70 miles an hour. Your eyes can't process. This is why we have distracted drivers. Please don't eat while you drive. You will not digest that food because you're not in that place of transformation. You're totally vata. You're going to trip yourself up or somebody's going to trip you up. Because you're in your head, right? You're not in your feet. The car is. The car is doing the work for you. So it's a place of danger, and we see it all the time, but we don't really process that it is. This is why I'm a walker, by the way, and not a driver, because I get behind a car, I turn into that same enraged person, like, God, this guy's going so slow. And I think, why am I doing this? I rarely take my anger out on people. But I thought about it, I was like, I'm taking it out on the car. I told you, I break things. I tend to throw things if I get really angry, but I have never really, except for very rare places where I've been angry with a person. But it's really easy to get angry with a car, right? So this couple was in a horrible car accident. Horrible car accident. And later they were asked to kind of relive it as a way of understanding like how they responded to it. The man he like talked through the whole thing, and they could see his whole brain lighting up, all of these sensory places in the brain where you feel emotions, fear, concern, anger, all of these things were just lighting up in his brain. His wife was completely blank. She actually couldn't remember the accident at all. She witnessed the exact same thing. She was sitting right next to him. So if she were in a place where she needed to feel joy, could she feel joy? Or would she just feel guilt because, she had learned how to not process that emotion? So we get into it's a muddy place because we have that dosha of being muddy people, right? And I think that's why we could talk about this probably for a long time. But here's the thing. All of the speakers that I kind of heard talk, all of the people that I've read about that have tried to deal with trauma or anger or just strong emotions, they all equated strong emotions with love, with compassion, because that too is human nature. So come into this guest house of being human, I guess is what I say. And Our guest house has gotten bigger. Bob talked about global politics. I'll just give you a little insight into my world. I teach yoga. I'm a white Westerner. I'm a female. Those things were not possible 100 years ago. And in fact, the people who taught yoga were repressed by colonialism, by a British Empire that pushed it out because they saw it as a potential power threat. So guess how people in South Asia from India feel about someone like me teaching their heritage? They're kind of angry. And yet I feel like as Westerners and as people of an understanding, first of all, that women can have a place at this table is really important to me. I've been in exercise physiology for almost 40 years, and most gyms, men. Plates that I couldn't move off of the weight bench because they're too heavy for me. Oh, you poor little thing. Let me help you with that, right? So I can now have a place at the table. And I've turned away from some of the lineage and the patriarchy that came through the yogic tradition, and I feel like we have an opening here. We have a birth transformation happening. But I need to sit with those women from South Asia who are also wanting to have a place at the table. And when some of my colleagues who do a lot of like online activities, they have, like blogs that are, what's it called on Instagram? You're a influencer. Yes, thank you. They're influencers, and they're coming from the Western perspective, from science and understanding biomechanics and all of these aspects of what we know of physiology, which I think is important. The Desis get mad. They get really mad. They get angry because their voice wasn't included. So I have to sit with this. My friends who are responsible and knowledgeable, and the people I don't know but that I owe my career to right now, are at odds, right? So what can I do? Breathe and push. Give birth to this new home that hopefully we all have. We need to change Western medicine too. Don't go to a physician for health care. Go for trauma care if you've been in a car accident. But I can't tell you how many people come to me because they've been through the system and they just keep being told nothing's wrong with you. We can't find anything wrong with you, but something's wrong with them. They know it. So what I teach is self-awareness. I teach mind-body connectome. Your mind and your body, how you feel, how your spirit is never been disconnected. And I want to have a place at the table here in our culture to help to transform what we see as Western medicine too, because we know it's not working. So how can we birth something new? And I think we need to bring the sages and the physicians, the researchers together and let them sit at the table, hold their anger, and talk it out. So thank you for giving us this opportunity to do exactly that, right? And to not deny the anger. We've got to sit with it. We've got to get past it. We've got to work through it so we can transform it. Because there will be another thing. There's always going to be another thing, unless we all die, right? So let's give birth to newness, and it might take some hungry work, even hangry, right? We might have to get to that point of being hangry. Let's do it. Let's do it. That's all I can say. Let's do it. So, thank you.
Sandy.